For the second consecutive week, we have to talk about another controversy in the NASCAR Cup Series involving, you guessed it, Denny Hamlin. Now, if we're being honest, based on speed, Hamlin probably deserved to win last Sunday's race at Kansas Speedway after leading 159 of 273 laps. Now, even issues with his power steering didn't seem to slow him down. But the driver of the number 11 Toyota had other issues because on the final lap in double overtime, Hamlin was side by side with the 2311 Racing's Bubba Wallace entering turn 3. Hamlin washed up the track as Wallace got into the wall. Then Hamlin came down the track and made contact with Chase Elliott, who ended up stealing the win in a race dominated by Toyota drivers. Now, Hamlin settled for second while Wallace finished fifth. But what made this situation so awkward was the fact that Hamlin co-owns Wallace's 2311 Toyota, and he cost his own team a chance at advancing to the round of 8. Wallace openly admits that road course racing is one of his biggest weaknesses as a driver, so it's extremely unlucky that he scores a walk-off win this Sunday at Charlotte. Unlikely, I should say. He scores a walk-off win this Sunday at Charlotte Roval, entering the race 26 points below the cut line. On his Actions and Detrimental podcast, Hamlin said he wasn't going to apologise for racing for the win and that he is a driver only on Sundays, not a team owner. Now, he added that his responsibilities as a team owner at 2311 are Monday through Saturday, and when Sunday comes around, his job is to drive for Joe Gibbs Racing, not look after his own race team. However, he acknowledged that the number 23 team being below the cut line, but brought up the point that they ran like, well, this is what he said, ran like crap at New Hampshire, which is why they were in this position in the first place. Wallace showed his displeasure towards Hamlin on the cool-down lap by riding up beside him and giving him the middle finger, and took a few moments to collect his thoughts before doing a TV interview. On the podcast, Hamlin complimented Wallace for the growth he's shown as a driver in terms of maturity and uptick in performance. The photo taken by Sean Gardner from Getty Images. Well, it was controversial, and we always have it, don't we? Do you agree with Hamlin's mindset that the main focus should always be on the car that he's driving, even if it ends up with him hurting him as a team owner? Or was he in the wrong to race Wallace so aggressively, since 2311 will likely have both cars eliminated from the playoffs this coming weekend?
Well, I left this morning for work 20 minutes early to get to work because I knew I was going to have a busy day, and I ended up sitting in traffic and getting to work at the same time, and that was handy because I was listening to Actions Detrimental on the way in this morning. And I agree with all parties' thoughts on this. It is a blank piece of paper. Everyone's got an opinion on it, and I don't disagree with anyone's thoughts on either side. Denny, obviously, he's going for the win. As he said during that this week's show, it was the track that he made his Cup Series debut at, Kansas Speedway, and he's still closing in and would have been his 60th Cup win, and a track where they have won previously and have had so many go away from them over the last few years through crashes or mechanical or pit lane, which is mostly what happens with Denny, problems. And in the race, he had those problems. He had a mechanical, he had the power steering issue, which they kind of resolved and had work to fix with. Then they got back in the field after a slow pit stop with a jack problem. But they found themselves there coming to the checkered flag, on taking the white flag in second place. He was always going to go for the win because that's what he does. If he'd backed off and let Wallace take the win and got him, finish second easily behind him, this would have been the top story on the show this week, and we would have been absolutely up in arms about manufacturer input and teams, manipulating, that's the word I was searching for, manipulating the race result. And obviously Wallace would have gone through and Hamlin's team, and he would finish second, and all of that. It would have been even worse, frankly, than where we are right now. Toyota gave that race away. They had all 5 of their guys at the front there at the end, all of them racing equally hard against each other, and Chase Elliott came through waving as he went and took his victory and booked himself in the round of 8. But I mean, Hamlin, every week on the podcast, pretty much, unless he's had a race where he finishes 30th and we don't see him, which isn't often. He has something to say about everything, and mostly because he's in the middle of it, and that's 2 races in this round, let alone the playoffs, where he's been kind of the centre of the story. What will happen this week at the Roval? He goes in fairly comfortable on points, plus 48 to the cut line, whereas both his team cars, Wallace and Reddick, you'd have to say, looking at the standings, have got to win to get themselves through. Everyone, I think, below the cut line this week is going to have to race their way in terms of winning. Chastain is 13 points off Logano at the cut line, so that's going to be close. But the other 3 guys, Cindric, Reddick, and Wallace, all have got to race their way in. More about this race when we get to Hots and Knots, because I've got much other things to say, which I'll hold back till then. But all parties have got the right to feel aggrieved at this in all of the ways. And Adam says, a wild and crazy finish. Where did he come from? Chase Elliott. I mean, he was 6th at the white flag lap, and he ended up, as they took the white flag, and he ended up winning the race. Toyota have all got to slap themselves on the wrists for giving that away, frankly.
Yeah, to a Chevy. Let's look
exactly.
at they dominate. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
honestly. I was mad. Even Adam agrees that was a wild and crazy finish. Chase Elliott, Mr. Where did he come from? Got it done. Again, he always does it. We never know where he sees. He's the last lap restarter. But he was trying that on the restarts, wasn't he? Going to the low line throughout the entirety of the race. So he was always up there. So I wasn't too surprised, but it was quite fun.